Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today for Mama Elephant Stamps with this cool Penguins Christmas Scene card. These new stamps are from the September 2018 release, and I've paired them with the Galactic cover, which is also new for the September release, and then the previously released Snow-Capped Mountain dies. These two products are going to create the backdrop for our adorable little penguins wrapping presents scene. I have got my Galactic cover die cut from Smooth White cardstock. I have just die cut my Snow-Capped Mountain range from Smooth White cardstock. And now I'm going to start working on building my sky, and then we can move on to adding color to the rest of the scene. So for my sky, I'm using a little Broken China and Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide inks. I like the Distress Oxides for working on regular Smooth White cardstock, as they're going to give some fantastic coverage. I wanted a pretty bright sky. I didn't want to go overly dark here, so I pulled in a lot of that Broken China and Blueprint Sketch, which I think are both a little bit more on the brighter spectrum. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you two more Galactic cover backgrounds created using this particular background die with other color combinations, so that you can see kind of what it would look like if you wanted to go the little bit deeper, darker route. You can color this with whatever color your heart desires, which I love. When I have that covered, I am going to go ahead and take my mountain range and use a piece of Post-it tape to mask off part of it. And that is because instead of doing two separate pieces of paper, the mountain range is going to be the mountain range, and then this icy kind of border is what I imagine it to be. But that way I have only two pieces of paper for the background, and then I've got all my images. It reduces bulk significantly. For this, I am adding Blueprint Sketch and Broken China Distress Oxide inks. Again, a little bit lighter hand. I'm not going all the way to the top. I just want this to have a touch of color, to be really soft. In fact, I'm going to spritz it with water from a distress sprayer and blot it. I'm not going to do that to the sky. This is going to give it just a little bit different look and make it very distinguished from the lake. The lake, or the iced over lake, or whatever you want to call it, I am taking Tumbled Glass Distress ink and just kind of gently pulling it, if you will, down from my Post-it tape border to add that icy look and feel. I definitely wanted a little bit different color of ink here to give it that look of an icy type of iced over water. Now, I felt like my line was not super distinguished. I did even go in with a little bit darker ink and pull in just a little bit more of that for a tiny extra touch. And here's kind of what our background is going to look like. Again, not super happy with that distinguished line between the mountain range and the ice. So I went back with my Blueprint Sketch and Broken China Distress Oxide inks and added more color. In adding more color to the mountain range, I had to spritz it with water again because I kind of lost some of that oxidation detail that I had, and I definitely wanted that. And I think I'm going to be much happier with my mountain range now. So peel off my Post-it tape, and I can go ahead and adhere this to the bottom of my Galactic cover and adhere this whole thing to a white side fold card base. The Galactic cover is A2 sized, meaning it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And I think my mountain range was just slightly a little bit too big, so I trimmed off a little bit with my scissors. Then I'm just going to play with some of my images. I also want to add some snow caps and things like that. I tend to like to lay out my images, make sure everything's going to fit. This gives me a good idea of how many images I need for the finished card design. And then while I have this laid out, I went ahead and finished my snow-capped mountains. I die cut the snow caps from smooth white cardstock, and I'm applying a layer of snow marker to the snow caps. It's a liquid product, and when heated, it puffs up, which is phenomenal for winter-themed cards. It's anything snowy, as the name of the marker kind of indicates. It's going to create this fantastic effect, which I think you can see really good here when I heat that up. It's just amazing. I adhered these to a piece of Post-it tape and then used tweezers to hold it while I was heat setting it. It kept my fingers out of the snow marker liquid until it was completely heat set and puffed up. And it was just a really easy way to get that great texture to my tops of the mountains. So I did 2 of them, and then I went ahead and just used that same piece of Post-it tape and my tweezers again, and I'm going to do the other 2 tops of the mountains. If you love that puffy look, these snow markers, I've had this one for several years, and I'm just now thinking I need to get another one, like I've used enough of the product. They're amazing. I've kind of rediscovered my love for it and have used it several times, sometimes to adorn like Santa, his costume and things, like the trim around his hat, the trim around his neck, and whatever. I'll show you a card at the end of this video. I'll also link to it. So just other ways to use it other than just for snow. So I've glued my snow caps in place. Let's go ahead, kind of set that over to the side for a little bit, and let's work on stamping all of our images that we want to use to complete the scene. Once the background building is kind of done, we're ready to start stamping everything. I am coloring all of my images in with Copic markers today. The Copic marker colors I'm using are shown across the top of the screen for each section. My penguins are all with warm gray 3, 6, and 8 with R and warm gray 0, 0. I forgot to mention that. And R00 for the cheeks, YR04, and YR09 for the feet and the beaks. The scarf for this penguin and anything red that you see on the card is R35, 37, and 39. My favorite red color combination here lately. Let's go back and finish in this cute little guy's face, which is warm gray 3 and warm gray 00, with the R00 for the cheeks, which I think add loads of character to their sweet little faces. I mentioned on Instagram how I think Mama Elephant does penguins so well, and I had said I don't know what it is about them, but they are just some of my very favorite and I love them. And one of the comments I received said it is because their faces are so expressive or so cute, and they are. Mama Elephant does a fantastic job with the faces on these little guys of really having their character show through, and I think it just makes them very, very fun to create with. The ribbon around the box that the penguin is busting out of, I did with my reds again, and then for the box, we're going to use E40, 43, and 44. Kind of a little cardboard looking box. Nice little neutral. I got lots of color going on with most everything else. I guess the penguins are neutral too, but you know, the hats, the scarves, the wrapping paper, the rolls of ribbon, the gift tag, the presents. That is all lots and lots of color. Our background even has lots of color with lots of blues. So pulling in some nice neutrals here in a couple little spots just kind of balance it all out really nice. But definitely, I felt like it was go wild time with the wrapping paper in the bucket. This is a great time to pull out some colors. My color scheme for this card, I wanted it to complement the bluish sky, the kind of brighter bluish sky, and the lake and the mountain range. So I went with reds, a peachy pink, aqua, and then a limey green. And I kept mostly to that other than the bucket, and I felt like it needed a different color, but I didn't want to go too crazy. So I went and pulled a color from the background, and we're going to do some, the colors are called blue, but I really use them as purples. It's the B60, 63, and 66. Sometimes I'll even pull in B69, which is very, very dark, and I didn't use it here today. But I think this really matches Blueprint Sketch perfectly. It's one that I use a lot when trying to coordinate back to Blueprint Sketch, which I feel is a very violet type blue. And I will be showing that here in just a second once I get my wrapping paper all colored. I do want to mention that aqua and kind of white or silver striped paper. The silver stripe was created with a cool gray marker, or a couple cool gray markers. Very, very light. Just to give it a hint of that color, maybe kind of a shimmery silver, and aqua is kind of how I imagined that. Here are my blue colors I'm using. As you can see, I think for me, they kind of tend to gravitate towards purple. That's how I use them most of the time. And that's going to make this bucket a really fun color. And even though it's a little something different and I don't really use it anywhere else throughout the design, it complements and coordinates back to our background. We've also got the adorable scissors and then some spools of ribbon, the gift tag. Those are all some of the individual images. I do want to mention, in addition to everything you see that I have used here, kind of ignore that little elf floating there. That is from the Simon Says Stamps Stamptember Merry Mail stamp set. That was just an extra I ended up not using for my card project. So this is a scrap paper. I'm a big, big fan of using scrap paper. I try to use up every little bit and not waste. So that's why he's there. In case you were wondering, I didn't want you to think he was part of the cool penguin stamp set. In addition to what you see me using here, there's a stack of gift packages. There's a penguin with a pair of reindeer antlers on his head, which are super cute. There's another penguin that is opening a present, or maybe wrapping a present. It kind of looks more like he's maybe wrapping a present. And then there are two sentiments. I'll use one on my card today, and then there's another one that reads, "It's penguining to look a lot like Christmas." So just a fun little punny play on words. I used a lot from this set. I used as much as I could fill in. At the beginning of the video, I kind of had shared the background laid out after I had created my backgrounds and inked them, and I'd shown the stamps laid out on my card. This is a really good indication of how things are going to fit, how many of the stamped images are going to fit, what maybe would be overcrowding. I think if I had tried to pull in anything else on this card, it would have been too much. This card is definitely heavy on the bottom half of the card design and not the top. And in order to balance it out appropriately, I think it just would have looked so super crowded if I had tried to add anything extra. I'm also going to put my sentiment down below. I had contemplated at the beginning when I was kind of designing this and laying out the products of maybe making a banner and adhering it to the top of the card and things like that. But ultimately, I decided that I really felt like this along the bottom, or kind of in that bottom right corner of the card, it was the perfect place for my sentiment. And so that's where I decided to go with it, especially because it's not a big overpowering sentiment. It's a pretty small, simple text. Double checking before I actually start adhering any of these cute little guys to my card. Plus, this is where I'm going to add my sentiment. I am going to adhere some of my things some of my images with foam adhesive. And it's hard to stamp your greeting and get it stamped well if you've already adhered them. So I went ahead and stamped my sentiment first. So you can see I've already done that here. And then I've adhered a couple of my penguins on the right side with foam adhesive already. I'm going back with my Copic markers in BG 11 and 13 and even the colorless blender and adding some shadowing. This is going to add additional texture, a little additional color, and interest to this icy lake that the penguins are out there wrapping their presents on. So when I'm doing scene building, it's often in my mind telling a story. And in this instance, the little story is these cute little guys are out there on the iced over water, doing all of their holiday gift wrapping. Some of the images, in fact, a great majority, are adhered with foam adhesive. I guess the only two that aren't are the bucket of wrapping paper and the scissors. And those are adhered directly to the card base. And that was very intentional. It helps build dimension and helps give the card the illusion of being a more dimensional card, even though it's really minimal layers as far as a layered scene card goes. So I've adhered everything to my side fold card base. I'm taking a white pen, adding a little white pen detail, some dots to the cheeks, going over the one roll of wrapping paper. I covered up the black dots from the stamp with white. I like the white a little bit better. I forgot coloring the top of the bow on that red gift package, so I added my aqua marker to that. A few simple highlights, not going to go crazy. I did add some lines to the gift tag to make it look like it had been written on. And then I'm going to fill in any of the die cut openings in the Galactic cover with Nuvo crystal drops in gloss white and white blizzard. So any of the cutout circles are going to be covered with gloss white. I hadn't tried this yet. I've used white blizzard before for the sparkly finish, but this is going to be the opaque white finish. Then there's some little starbursts, and on the starburst I took the white blizzard, so those are going to be sparkly once that completely dries. A little glossy accents for the beaks on the penguins. I also opted to add some to their feet. It's going to give them a nice glossy raised finish when dry. Here is my finished card, so super sweet. I just wanted to share that Galactic cover. This is the Oh Kitty Tree Stamps and Dies with a little bit darker background. Black soot definitely darkened that up a lot. This one's Faded Jeans in black soot, and this is Santa's Sleigh, another new stamp set. These are all brand new for September 2018 from Mama Elephant, but the same cover used for multiple cards, so you really can get a lot of use out of it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this cool Penguins Christmas scene card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.